Heartland. In this show where we talk all about Heartland. We recapped every episode and we are diving into season 18. It's here. It's so exciting. And today we are going to be talking about episodes 1 and 2. So the premiere and the second episode. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle's here.
Hey everyone, we're back.
I know, it feels like forever since we've been able to talk Heartland.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
We sort of experimented with doing a different sort of following a different errand.
Yes.
But yeah, it felt like we were a little bit behind the hardcore fans a little bit.
Yeah. It was a tough decision because I want to support Up TV and everything they're doing there, and they're so great. But yeah, it really did feel like we were late to the party.
Yeah, we missed a little bit of the conversation.
Yeah. So even though it's going to be overwhelming to cover during Christmas, we're going to do it. It's going to be great. And I mean, I don't know when they filmed this, but it sure does feel like they listened to our notes.
Yeah, this season, I mean, to be fair, like, I think last season I don't think we were as negative as maybe we came across. Because I think like every episode was either okay or like average.
Yeah.
Which was fine. But when you add that up at the end of the season, that just adds up to a very average season. And it just felt like there was no sort of like forward momentum for a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
And I think we felt that a lot in the finale of just like, a little bit like that.
We felt like it was kind of all lead up, no payoff or little payoff. Yeah. We really needed, it felt like, it really felt like that was 17 part A, and then now we're getting 17 part B. There were just so many things that were underwhelming in that finale.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they really kind of corrected almost everything that we didn't like about the finale in this first episode.
Yeah, it was crazy watching. Like, even in episode 2, I was like, oh my god, like, this is so good.
Yeah.
This is so, like, what we were craving last season.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
So it is called True Grit, and it's Amy helps Nathan with a sheepdog competition while Heartland faces price beef competition and an impending water shortage, straining Lou, Jack, and Tim. And they kind of forgot about the water shortage in episode 2. I don't know if they'll come back to that, but it was the thing.
I feel like that might be like a season-long sort of struggle.
Yeah. But we have a new horse. We have Stetson. And how long have we been saying they need to get a horse and a cowgirl plot for Lou? How long have we been saying this?
I know. Yeah, we've been wanting this for like
a long
feels
time.
Like a long time. Because even when Lou was doing sort of the Dude Ranch thing, it felt very separate to Heartland, like the ranch aspect of it. So yeah, I love all of this stuff with her just like getting her hands dirty and really pulling her weight, and it works really well. Like it's not grating. Whereas I felt like a lot of the mayoral stuff felt a little bit like once we'd seen it, we'd seen it.
Yeah.
It was hard to sort of maintain that throughout the seasons that they went with that storyline. And it felt like, yeah, it was just crazy that it's taken them this long to put her, with the family
Yeah. Yeah,
and the
it is
family business.
crazy. I mean, think of all these jobs that she's had that have been underwhelming and not
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
And just the recycle plot with Peter over and over again.
Mm.
How is it that this is the first time that she's actually had a horse on
And she's got a
Heartland?
horse, yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Wild. So yeah, so they have Stetson has come over from the rodeo school.
Hmm.
He's not he's not behaving the way Tim wants him to behave,
Hmm.
and Tim's getting frustrated, but Stetson keeps getting kind of upset, and he's just real
Hmm.
jumpy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, you get a lot of this with a lot of different animals, like, a lot of service animals that they just decide when they want to retire.
Yeah,
You can't really rely on a dog or any sort of other like animal that's trained to do like a specific thing. Like if
to
they're
do it
done, they're done.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Amy says. Like he should not be competing anymore, and so it's an interesting dynamic because of
Mm-hmm.
course Tim's always pretty desperate about things like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of the world.
Yeah. And so then we have Amy. She says, "Oh, well, I'm always working all the time," and I relate to Amy in this because I'm always working all the time as well. Like I kind of
Mhm.
joke that if something isn't my job, I find a way to make it my job. Like
Yeah, same.
as the curse of being a freelancer. But but on the other hand, like she would probably be doing a lot of this stuff even if it wasn't her job. So like,
Hmm.
and that's the same with me. And so where do you like? I would be going to movies anyway, but it's just part of my job.
Hmm.
And so it's a very tricky dynamic, and I luckily don't have a child. Like that's where it would get
Hmm.
trickier. Where so it doesn't really matter that I don't have any work life balance because it's my whole I don't have anybody else sharing my life, so it doesn't
Hmm.
matter. But it would be harder if you had a kid with that
Yeah, for
balance,
sure.
you
Yeah.
know. So and one of our big critiques last season was that Nathan was too unlikable as a character and didn't really show any real initiative
Hmm.
with Amy as a love interest at all. Like,
Hmm.
and so it was just kind of like, what is happening here? And so it was so refreshing right out of the gate to have him basically asking her on a date, being a little flirty, all of that. It was like,
Hmm.
okay, this is what we needed earlier.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to sort of, especially because they brought this sort of Caleb aspect into it as well. And it was like, is this like an actual love triangle? Because we don't know who likes who,
Yeah.
just through like their actions. Like it feels like we're being told that Nathan's interested in Amy, but he's not actually done anything or said
No.
anything to express that. And I was so happy to have Amy just sort of stand up for herself and like know her worth and say and recognize that she deserves better. That she's at a point in her life where she's not got time for someone to sort of be so closed off and like if you're going to pursue me, but like actually actually do something.
Yeah. How old do we think Amy is at this point? What, like, because she was 16 when the show started.
Mm. We've had some time jumps as well.
Yeah. So she's like,
Um,
what, 34, 35,
mhm.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it
You
feels
don't
like
mess around
yeah,
in your
yeah,
30s.
yeah, and it feels like she's very much like a monogamous person as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel authentic to Amy at this point in her life to just have her dating a bunch of people like every
Yeah.
season to see
I
when
agree.
and if they can find the right fit for her.
Yeah. I agree. Well, especially if it's a person that you've like, when it's like a friends to lovers arc, you don't really need to go
Hmm.
on like tons of dates. because before you get exclusive, because you already know each other. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like it's a blind date or something like that where you have no idea who this person is. So
Yeah.
it was nice to see because I mean, I love Spencer. I think he's so good, team mixed baggage, but he just was not given enough to do, and he wasn't like he was just very negative last season, and so you didn't want him with Amy. You didn't want
Yeah.
and so at least here he was like a little bit flirty, a little cute, and so I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I was happy to see that, and it's just like they need to give him some dialogue because it just
Yeah,
feels like he says nothing all of the time.
right. Like make
And
him
yeah,
like cute, make him like
yeah,
flirty and fun, and
yeah,
you know,
he's just like stiff as a board.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it feels like it's not a slight against the actor. That just feels intentional for the
yeah,
character. But yeah, it's a little bit frustrating when we as an audience have been with Amy for so long and are like,
yeah.
you need to step up.
I think it was really smart of them to give this dog plot. And, he's got this dog Molly, and Lindy loves Molly, and then the dog, it, it's not doing well. So Amy suggests that he enter him in a competition, in a dog sheep competition.
Sheepherden.
Yeah, sheepdog contest. And but Nathan says, I'll enter Molly, but only if you come with me." That was cute.
That was
That
really
was
cute.
nice. That was fun. The big, I, I would say the miss for me this season so far is this plot with Katie and the writing group.
Yeah. I kind of just
I
want to wait and see where it goes first because yeah, it feels a little bit like how many times have we seen her hide things from the family?
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean,
like another
it
thing
just
of
feels like such weak sauce. I mean,
yeah.
oh, you lied about going to a writing. I mean, you lied about it being a college writing group. Like, I don't think that anybody would do that.
hmm
And it's not like they're like,
I mean, I do think it's slightly smart in the fact that we as an audience always think that she's older than what she is. Like
yeah, it's
she
not
just
like they're
looks
like
older.
smoking joints and, like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, they're sitting in the library.
and swinging or something. Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, they're like sitting in a library talking. Like, I can't imagine any world where this group leader would be like, "Oh, you're 17? Sorry, you can't be in our writing group." Like, not like they're reading erotica or something adult, or you know what I mean?
hmm
They're reading Wuthering
hmm
Heights. Like, how dare they? Like, it's it's I don't know. It just feels really phony.
hmm
It's not working for me. And but anyway, that's the plot they're giving her, is that she is sneaking around going to this writing group. Now, if she met somebody at the writing group and then the lie kind
That's
of
when it gets messy.
perpetuated,
hmm
if she started dating somebody who thought she was
hmm
older, then like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, if that's coming up. But
Yeah, it feels like that's where they're sort of going with it. Like there has to be another element to it.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
hmm
So then we have, Amy tells Nathan, says, "I'm a pretty good listener if you need someone to talk to." And so, we're building that intimacy,
hmm
that bond. And when she gets to the sheepdog contest, his ex is there. And so they get to meet, and so that's sort of an interesting dynamic. Again, kind of humanizing him more.
hmm Yeah. I felt like we were going to get a little bit more information from him in
Uh-huh.
terms of like just what had happened, but again, he just keeps silent the entire time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
At
it's an
least
interesting thing. Like,
something.
yeah, it was something at this
Yeah.
point. That's
We
all
did find
we take
we
we can
did
get.
we did find out that Amy's favorite meal, according to Lindy, is blueberry waffles and clementines. I think that
So,
might be Lindy's favorite
that's
meal,
yeah, I
but
feel like that's Leslie's favorite meal.
it sounds good. I
Yeah,
take it.
let's see, not the waffles.
Yeah. Are you team waffle or team pancake?
Um, I like pancakes, but they're so heavy. So and again, waffles only if they're like really warm. When they get kind of cold and soggy, I'm not a fan.
That's
But
true.
yeah, I mean, I can have one of each. I'll have one of each.
Yeah, I like both, but I'm probably team pancake if I had to pick side. Looking for a nice, warm, fuzzy read about the love story of a married couple? After the Red Carpet by Patricia Levy is the perfect guilty pleasure read to curl up with and turn your brain off for a moment. In this highly anticipated, steamy follow-up to the location shoot, will Ella and Finn finally live the life they've dreamed of? The couple vows to prioritize their romance and live an adventure of their own making. Ella moves into Finn's Beverly Hills mansion and must adjust to his world. Finn is determined to make everything perfect for his betrothed, secretly afraid of losing her. Meanwhile, Ella wants nothing more than to retain her own identity as they build their new life together. All the while, she is writing a philosophical treatise on love, exploring the question, when we love so deeply, where do we end and where does the other begin? Find After the Red Carpet by Patricia Levy wherever you purchase your books or use the affiliate link below. That's After the Red Carpet by Patricia Levy. And we have this whole thing with Logan now is going to be working for Tim. He's been working for Nathan, and Tim sees it, and Tim gets upset, and basically, well, he says that we'll use like spy for working for Nathan, and but then he also starts working for he gets fired, and he starts working for Tim. And it was kind of funny when he's like, I'm trying to to get this car repaired and everything, and Tim's like, I fix things. Keep it in the family, Logan. Which I thought was cute. It was funny.
Yeah.
So Molly, of course, is great working with the dogs. I mean, the sheep. Molly's great. So the ex is named Tristan. And she says, I'm really glad Nathan has found someone. And Amy says, we're just friends. And then Tristan says, that's not what it looked like to me. So, okay, good. That's fun. And then she says, cheating on him is my biggest regret. And he was always a closed book. He never let me in. And Amy says, this is really none of my business. And then Tristan says, I just wanted you to know my side of the story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes sense. This does feel like Nathan's character. She obviously shouldn't have cheated on him. That was wrong. But
it feels like she's trying to sort of talk herself out of being the villain.
Yeah.
And it's like, you did what you did.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
It's not as if Nathan did anything horrible to her. He just wasn't emotionally available, as we can see. But yeah.
But
feels like she's trying to excuse her behavior.
Yeah. I mean,
or her actions.
But I just feel like we've gotten so much more about Nathan and his character and his personality in just this one episode than we got in the whole season.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that's why this conversation is important, is that it's letting us as the viewers actually kind of understand him a little bit more, feel more empathy towards him and just everything. And so, and I think that would be really hard to have a not amicable split and to still be in like the same town, the same area, see the same people. That would be really hard.
Yeah, and I didn't even think of that until she showed up and like, oh yeah, they're probably like in the same vicinity or running the same circles, or like even if there is a bit of distance, like they probably just have a lot of crossover in terms of just like the ranch lifestyle. So yeah.
And when you have kids, it's obviously inevitable, and you have to figure out a way to coexist together for the good of your kids. But if you didn't have kids, I think it would. I think I would almost just want to move, go somewhere different, and not be by an ex. I think that would be really hard to do. And so then Molly has the perfect run. So she's amazing.
Yeah, I love watching sheepdogs. They're so smart. I had one. I had a border collie, and they're so smart. Like even if like mine had never stepped foot in the farm in his entire life, but he would still try to herd people. It's like so funny how ingrained in them that is. Like if there was like kids playing or whatever, he would like circle them and try and like herd people. So funny.
Makes me think of Babe. I love Babe so much.
Oh, such a good film.
That'll do big. That'll do big. Oh, it's so good. If I had words to make a day for you, I'd make you a morning golden and true. So
such a good film.
Yeah. I still think it's like amazing that a movie like Babe was nominated for Best Picture. I feel like you wouldn't see that now.
Yeah.
You know? But it was. And when there was only 5 nominees. So anyway. Okay. So then we have them giving Stetson to Lou. So this is very cute. And we have Jack going on the morning show making his stew, which I laughed. That was really funny. No Lisa in either of these episodes.
No Lisa, no Jess.
Oh yeah, no Jess. Yeah. So I wonder what's going on with that. Hopefully we get to see them both soon.
They'll probably pop up in a Christmas movie.
Probably. The only way to survive is to have passion and perseverance. And so that's very very true, especially on Heartland. And then because their date had been interrupted earlier, and Amy, after talking to Tristan and everything, refuses to go on the date. He calls again. She refuses, and she says, "Goodbye, Nathan." So, yeah. Here we go.
I mean, I kind of loved it because it was again just seeing Amy be like, know her worth, and it's just balls in his court now. Like he has to step up, and I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's smart just as a romantic. It's smart as a romantic plot element because it makes him have to try harder, which is romantic for us and compelling for us as viewers. To not feel like he's not even that interested in her, and you don't want it to feel like Amy's chasing him.
Yeah,
you want it to
so
feel
one-sided.
Yeah, you want it to feel like if anything, he's chasing her because she's our heroine, she's our lead, she's our, and so that's what we'd want, and so I thought it was a really smart setup, and especially now the second episode. And this one was called, we don't have a summary, it's called Bird's Eye View. And I am like so curious. I thought they did such an effective job of like making me think, is Amy all of a sudden Team Caleb?
Yeah, they've set this love triangle up so expertly, like in just an episode, because you have all these different elements of like Caleb is obviously like has feelings for Amy, but he's accepted his fate kind of, and he's like not like he's not moping about it.
Right.
He's going on dates, and then you get to see like a little bit of jealousy from Amy's perspective. You see Nathan like clock it as well. Like you see him sort of see it before Amy actually realizes it as well. And it's just it works on every like angle that you look at it.
And it was so smart to bring in Ty here and to have Caleb be telling the story about the Longhorns and making Lindy laugh and reminding Amy of all the shenanigans and how much he loved Ty. And that is just like a warmth and a comfort level that we've never gotten with Nathan, not even close. Yeah. And so
and he's already like part of the family. Like he's back for like a day, and they're throwing him like a barbecue. He's sleeping on the couch. He's like such a part of like the family already. It's smart to use that.
Yeah, and now I mean I feel like I'll feel a little disappointed if she doesn't end up with Caleb at this point. Like I don't
it's
know.
just so ingrained in like the history of the show, and I thought Amber Marshall and Kerry James had done an interview just on her like YouTube channel, and it was so funny because Graham Wardle was like filming it, like he was like the tech guy, and it just makes me so happy that the three of them are like, even all this time has passed, fun. One of them's left, like there's still this little like tight knit group. I just thought it was like interesting. It didn't reveal anything about, you know, plot lines of the show. It was just interesting that that's the person that she chose to do this like long form like interview with, like as a lead up to the season premiere. And I was like, are they actually going to do it?
You know, and they do have, I think, a chemistry together, which isn't always the case. Like sometimes certain shows will kind of try out a relationship, and you're like, oh no,
it's not happening.
Like, you know, like Joey and Rachel. Like, why did you even try that? Like, no,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, try something out, and it just does not work.
And there's so many shows that have like that core relationship, like just like not work. I mean, even if you have something like the OC, like Ryan Marissa, that was like the it couple, but everybody watched for Seth and Summer. Dawson's Creek, everybody watched for Joey and Pacey. Like,
right, yeah.
Sometimes those like couples just don't work.
Or even on, I think part of the reason why the finale of How I Met Your Mother was so disappointing is that most of us big fans had gotten pretty invested in Robin and Barney.
Yeah, like you
so to have them like get divorced, and I mean it was so stupid, but to have them get divorced and then her to end up back with Ted, it was just like what? It was so stupid. But yeah, it's just I do think that sometimes different relationships will surprise the producers and be like, oh, people like that more than they thought, and then they're gonna go with it.
Happened. Yeah, I think that might have happened in the writer room of like people actually want Amy and Caleb.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they saw that because I mean I just felt it like a lot in this episode. I was like,
I mean, they had them shirtless within 20 minutes. Like,
that's true. Yeah. And he's like a pilot. He's like,
he's a pilot.
Which was fun.
Yeah, this episode was so fun, and bringing it back to having like shenanigans of like chasing like a bad guy. It's been a while since I've done that.
Honestly, if Lou wasn't with Peter, I would think, are they like gonna swap it and have Lou end up with Nathan? Because they had that weird
That's
episode.
What I thought. They have like a weird
last season where they had this like teenage connection, her and Nathan, which I thought was so weird. Like why are we building up this Nathan and Lou relationship? Like it was so strange.
Yeah, unless they want, they're writing it to the point of having Lou be in Nathan's side in terms of like who should be with Amy. But again, that just seems a little bit like Amy should be with who she wants to be with. But yeah, I'm so excited for seeing how it plays out. But it just seems I agree, it seems very strange. Even the conversations that they were having this episode, it just felt like, why are we so invested in Lou and Nathan?
Like, and they have
I read 2 episodes. Like,
because they not only had that weird episode last season where they had this like really big teenage connection, where you know when she calls her dad in crisis and everything, and he's so. But then also now in this one, like there's this sort of like enemies. It would feel like almost enemies to lovers at this point. Like she's really upset, and because he says that that he wants to man the tractor, and he's like she's very like offended by that, that he would say that. And so she basically does all the work as far as getting the stumps and everything and the chains and all that. And he's just sitting on the tractor.
Yeah, my pride would never be that strong. I'd be like, I'll sit. I'll sit in the tractor.
No, thanks. Yeah, no, thanks. Especially after that first day. But
yeah. When I was hurting, I would be like, yeah, you're good.
No.
I feel like I proved my point.
If you ever wanted to just laugh your head off, there is a really funny little thing called the Tanya the trainer. This guy, he's like he gets a week of personal training from his for Christmas or whatever.
Oh
And so
my
he
God,
goes, it's
nightmare.
Tanya the trainer, and it starts out, he's like, she's a goddess, all this stuff. And by the end, he's like, I couldn't move to brush my teeth, so you just set the toothbrush on the counter.
Just move his head.
It's like, it's just, Tanya, I hated Tanya more than any human being has ever hated any human.
Believable, yeah.
It's really funny. But yeah, once I was feeling those things, I would probably be done. But it's a lot of hard work, and because they're doing the fire line between their properties, so they're working together on it, and I do think you probably have more than 2 people working on this.
But it feels like they got people in to like do the bulk of the work, and then they were just doing like a little bit of the cleanup, because they did mention that people had been there previously. Yeah.
And I know that is a big part of having a ranch and stuff is the fire lines and burning crop and things like that. Like it's really important for it. But
it also feels a little bit more set up because they have no water.
Yeah.
And this idea of fires as well. It's so it feels like we're building up to something.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of this whole plot with Lindy and the eggs?
Oh yeah, see if these eggs didn't hatch, I was like, oh my God.
I know.
Like, what
Jack
a
is
tough
getting
conversation.
more...
Like just giving Amy the toughest conversation in the world.
Jack is getting more and more concerned because Lindy keeps taking the eggs out of the incubator. Yeah, that was a cool little light thing that they did.
Yeah, there's someone on TikTok that I follow that hatches like every year, and she hatches all these different like chickens and things. And it's crazy that how much they can tell just by shining a flashlight through it to see how far some are progressing and some aren't.
Yeah, I mean, and just like the way that it looked, I mean, it was like, what's this, Jurassic Park all of a sudden?
Yes. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. But then we have Katie continuing on with the writing group, and she's just read Rebecca, which is classic. And the writing group invites her to come to the wine bar. And she's like, oh no. I mean, if she was really faking it, she'd just say, I don't drink.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have. I mean, there's lots of people who don't drink, including myself, who aren't, who it's not because of only age. It's not like they would hear that, oh, you don't drink there, you must be under 21 or whatever it is in Canada. Yeah. But anyway, it must be lower in Canada, the drinking age. It must be because they were acting 18? Like, because there's no way she's 21.
No, it must be 18.
Yeah. Let me see. I'll look it up. 18 in Alberta, Manitoba, and Quebec. 19 in the remaining provinces. So yeah, okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense. Canada always being different. And it was really endearing too, just to see not only how close Amy is to Caleb and the whole story of the Longhorn and just him with Lindy, but just how close the whole family is to him. Yeah. And it's such a contrast to Nathan, who everybody in the family hates.
Yeah. It's such a good setup. And I feel like it's kind of what the show needs to have that little bit of like fan interaction of like, are you team Caleb or are you team Nathan? I
feel like so far, everybody would be team Caleb.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
Unless Nathan does something incredibly romantic in the next few episodes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does. So
I feel like this is just going to be Amy being the last to know. Everybody's going to know about her feelings for Caleb before she knows about them.
But she was feeling it a little bit, I think, in
Mhm.
this. But yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Everybody being like,
Yeah.
"What is wrong with you?" But then especially if he's like hunky pilot now. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. What more do you want? And I mean, I'm sure they'll stretch out that whole I don't want to ruin the friendship, kind of a thing as long
Mhm.
as possible. But Nathan says to, I thought we had something, and it's like, did you?
Did you? Yeah.
You didn't even try to like hold her hand. I mean, I guess you
Mhm.
asked her on a date, but you
That
had
was only
multiple
after being sort of
opportunities to make
like,
a
yeah,
move.
yeah, and that was only after Amy sort of gave him a little bit of a talking to, like I've just been like, it's not
Yeah,
good enough for you not to say anything. But yeah, it feels like everything he's done has been in a response to other people. He's not really done much
yeah,
off his own back yet, and that's I
yeah,
think what we need to see.
yeah. And Amy says, "You're a man of mystery, Nathan," and it says that you don't share. You shut me out. You don't share your feelings. You can't live in the past. And well, he says you can't live in the past, and then she says, "But you can talk about it." And then she
Hmm.
says, "I guess I'm at a stage in my life where I don't have the time or energy to be unraveling mysteries."
Yeah, and it's
That
just
was a
such a
good line.
contrast to Caleb, who just like spills everything.
Yes.
Like
Mm-hmm.
within
Mm-hmm.
minutes, he's telling like Amy everything that he's got up to, like since they've been
Yeah.
apart. So yeah, it's smart the way that they've done it of just having them be such a contrast.
Yeah. So we also have this whole plot in this episode with this horse Loki. Is an
Hmm.
Icelandic like circus. The guy wants to sell the horse to the circus, but
Hmm.
the horse does not like him at all.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure it out and it was pretty great when Caleb is able to lasso
Yeah.
the the,
Hmm.
that was very good. And it just made it like that's something Ty couldn't even do.
Hmm.
He couldn't have lassoed the
Yeah,
horse like
Caleb was
that.
definitely more of a cowboy than
Yeah.
than Ty.
Uh-huh. Yep. And so that there's that whole dynamic. So Caleb's kind of helping her with this horse Loki,
Hmm.
and then uh that's when he tells her about this bad date that he went on.
Hmm.
Says dating feels like being stepped on by a horse. And then she says, just never stop being open and honest. And then she says, this is where I was like, oh, okay. She says, you could teach a course to many men out there on how
Uh-huh.
to be a good man. I'm like, oh, that was
Yeah,
a fun line, fun
it's like,
moment.
does she recognize it for herself or just for everybody else at this point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
Logan asks Tim if he can borrow his truck. He's like, I want to impress Miley, her parents. And then Tim says, just be yourself.
Hmm.
And you should be proud of this truck that you have. And, it's an interesting dynamic because then when the truck breaks down, he feels like her parents are being super judgy. And Miley's like, they just helped us. Like, what's the problem? And so I think that like the people really aren't necessarily judging Logan, but he feels like they're judging him.
I was so confused by this because I find Logan to be like a difficult character so far because it feels like I don't really know what they're doing with him
Yeah, I could see
because
that.
it's yeah, and yeah, it would have helped to have seen that scene because
Yeah. So then we know it was
is
just
he
him being
being a little bit of
paranoid.
an unreliable narrator and
Or just
sort
being
of projecting,
paranoid.
just projecting his own like insecurities and that's sort of what he felt from them. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think it didn't really help not seeing it. Um,
I did connect
yeah,
with him though when he said, "You have no idea what it's like to spin your wheels and never get ahead."
never get forward. Yeah, yeah.
I can understand that. Like
Mhm,
even like I am so grateful for anyone who listens to the podcast at all, and I'm grateful for the success that I have had. But
mhm,
like I sort of feel like I haven't been able to kind of go to that next level of sufficiency, self-sufficiency, and like I have to have this part-time job, which I'm grateful for. But I don't know, like I kind of get that, like that you feel like you're doing everything you can think of, everything you can do to be successful, and you do sometimes feel like, okay, I'm just spinning my
mhm,
wheels and nothing is like I can't get to that next level.
mhm.
So
It's
I got
also
that.
Yeah, and it's also he's so young as well. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, what is he actually planning and doing with his life? Is it working with horses? Is it so? Does he want to
Yeah.
have like his own setup in the way that Amy does?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
and
it'll be
I guess
interesting
growing up
if,
as a foster kid, though, he probably doesn't really have the confidence
yeah,
to make those kind of goals,
hmm
you know?
yeah, it would be nice to see him sort of around the family a little bit more and
Hmm.
like get that support and confidence through them.
Yeah. And
Because it
I think,
does feel like he's a little bit separate from the family,
yeah, maybe because
other
he's
than
not in
Amy.
the house.
Yeah, he's not in the house.
And yeah, I could see that. I could see that. And so it'd be interesting to see what they do with him. I mean, I think that he was a little bit. It's interesting because he he's projecting all this stuff from what her parents did, but he's really being pretty judgmental of Miley, this person that he
Uh huh.
supposedly wants to impress.
hmm
But he's been kind of judgy of her that she's being judgy.
Or like
uh,
oblivious. Yeah.
Yeah. And like and then with again with Nathan and Lou, we get more of this kind of banter. Like I'm like, Peter should be somebody needs to tell Peter because this is getting a little the whole thing with him on the Stetson and
hmm
riding out and telling her just give up a little control. I understand how tough that might be for you. That's like kind of romantic
Like,
banter. Like I'm
mhm.
confused.
Yeah, it's really confusing. Um, and I don't know if it's like he's trying to impress her to impress Amy, but like impress Amy, like why are we having this thing with Lou, and why are we acting like Lou isn't married?
Oh, that's what's confusing to me. Like if Peter wasn't in the picture, I'd be like, oh, this is
But
interesting.
and also the thing is, you have to sort of remind yourself that Peter is in the picture just because we don't see him. Like,
Because they never got remarried, right?
I don't think they got remarried. I think they are just like
But they
a couple
are
again.
a
Yeah,
couple.
yeah.
Oh, I really, really don't want to go through all of that drama again.
She's gonna be with Nathan, and then she's gonna remarry Peter.
Like I'm fine with Lou having a different relationship, but I don't want to go through the breakup, like especially with
Yeah.
Peter again.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's very confusing, very strange. Um, but they find out that Loki is stolen.
Mhm.
And it was another really good moment for Caleb when he's up in the plane. He's like, "Ah, gotcha." We're like,
Yeah.
"Woo."
Yeah, and I
But
like that it's Kerry who's the only thing that they really talked about in that interview was that there was something that he wanted for Caleb and they sort of pushed for it. And I think it's the fact that Kerry was getting his pilot license and he wanted that to be a part of like
oh,
Caleb's storyline.
oh,
So
that's
all of
cool.
that is actually him flying and he's got his license and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was the only nugget of information that they let slip.
Yeah. Well, and so they they like they basically like block the guy in,
hmm
and I mean it was a pretty like pretty hero move, I thought,
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah, it was really fun, and it was just so reminiscent of those like early seasons where, like, especially Ty and Caleb were getting up to all of these shenanigans, and every other like horse case was like catching a bad guy, and
well, and so they show Amy going around the bad guy's car, and then he starts to drive off and leaves the trailer. That was a fun moment. And she's like, yeah.
Yeah, she unhooks it.
Yeah. And so then we have Logan saying, I took the car to a real mechanic. I just wish you'd let me use the truck. And I mean, I get why he would be a little bit disappointed they didn't get to use the truck, but I see where Tim's coming from with this as well. You know, and so then he talks to Logan about this horse Cobra, and he says that, what would you think about colt starting competitions? And this is something we have not seen, another horse competition for Heartland, which is very exciting. And it's colt starting competitions are wildly popular with audiences imbuing a sense of wonder at what trainers can do with previously unhandled 3-year-old horses in just a few hours. They're judged events where each trainer is paired with an unbroke horse and has just a few hours to start it under saddle. So that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
I feel like Amy's done that a bunch of times. So you should be able to do this because, Amy's taught him.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen this actual competition, but she's certainly done it.
No. Yeah, she's certainly done it, but yeah.
So
it's nice to have something new.
Yeah. and so you have this moment between Amy and Caleb, and talking. He says he would have been proud. Ty would have been proud of both of us, and they're hugging, and this is very sweet. They got kind of the side hug going on, and then Nathan sees it, and he's like, "Oh, shoot!"
Yeah, it's so exciting for the show. It's just like,
really
it's ready for this.
Yes. And then the eggs hatch to Jack.
Yeah, it's so really,
which is really cute. Those twins they got for Lindy are just the best.
I can't believe how grown up they are, though.
Oh,
like they're so grown up now. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it was funny. I thought at the end with Lou being like, "What's that perfume?" Amy be like, "What's that perfume you're right? Muscle rub." Lou's like, "I can't move." So there we go. This was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I just felt like it had practically everything you could want. It even had like family barbecue and everybody together, and yeah, except for the confusing Nathan and Lou stuff. It was a really solid episode, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think we could have asked for more.
No, I don't think so.
After last season.
So let us know what you think of these 2 episodes and what you think of the start of season 18. What are your predictions? Do you think that Amy is going to end up with Nathan or with Caleb? Where are you feeling? We'd love to hear in the comments.
Yeah, hashtag Team Nathan or Team Caleb.
Yeah, exactly. You can do hashtag Team Caleb. Come on, let's do it. Yeah. But yeah, let us know what you think, and where can people find you, Michelle?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media, and check out our playlist with all of our Heartland content. We've interviewed most of the cast over the years, so check that out. And please, if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really, really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that. We have our merch store. We have some Heartland inspired merch on there. And we have our Patreon group. And that's the biggest way you can support us. We should appreciate it. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.